Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. So we got Jake Paul taking on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. on June 28th in Anaheim, California. Also on the card will be Gilberto Ramirez versus Junior Dorticus and Holly Holm, the former UFC star, against Yolanda Ochoa. This event will be on DAZN pay-per-view. I think this should be a straightforward victory for Jake Paul. Yes, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is a former world champion, but that was many moons ago. And it was several weight classes down. He hasn't been a world champion since he lost to Sergio Martinez back in 2012, 13 years ago. Since that time, he's lost on numerous occasions in a couple of other weight classes. He was stopped by Andre Fonfara. He was then beaten by Canelo at 168, or maybe another catch weight a couple of years later on points over 12. He then quit against Danny Jacobs in 2019 in 5 rounds. That fight, I think, was at light heavyweight. And then in 2020, he lost to some obscure Mexican fighter in Tijuana. And most recently, he lost a split decision in Guadalajara in Mexico to former UFC star Anderson Silva. And that right there, as far as I'm concerned, is the most crucial piece of information. Because Anderson Silva, of course, is somebody who Jake Paul beat. Now, obviously, boxing is not linear. It's rock, paper, scissors. Just because A beats B and B beats C, it doesn't mean that C can't beat A. We know this. But losing to a damn near 50-year-old Anderson Silva, a former UFC fighter, at least gives you some indication of Chavez Jr.'s level right now. Bear in mind, his best years were at middleweight, where he was basically just a weight bully. Now he's up fighting people his own size, and he's racking up the losses to fighters who are no great shakes, in boxing at least. Chavez Jr. himself is 39 years of age. Jake Paul is 11 years younger at 28. Chavez Jr. has always been slow, even more so at his age now with the extra weight. He's always been easy to hit, and he's always been willing to quit. So I think this is another very clever bit of matchmaking by Jake Paul and his team. I think he will get past Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and then he can have a quote-unquote former world champion, a boxing champion in this case, not a UFC champion like Anderson Silva, a real boxing champion on his resume as part of the win column on his record. Will he stop Chavez Jr.? I'm not sure. Depends how much ambition Chavez Jr. turns up with. And it also depends on how many risks Jake Paul is willing to take in order to try and force the stoppage. Bear in mind, he was reluctant to step on the gas in the late rounds against the damn near 60-year-old Mike Tyson for fear that he might get caught with a shot and lose to a geriatric. He didn't want that type of embarrassment. Losing to Chavez Jr. wouldn't be quite as embarrassing, but it wouldn't be far off. So yeah, I've got Jake Paul winning. And by the way, it's kind of interesting that Jake Paul's career has continued on and has actually gone from strength to strength in terms of pay-per-view numbers since his loss to Tommy Fury back in 2023. And in stark contrast, Tommy Fury's career has actually gone downhill. Isn't that interesting? The guy who lost the fight is doing better than the guy who won the fight. Now, obviously, Jake Paul was a much bigger star than Tommy Fury to begin with when he was still unbeaten, but Tommy Fury hasn't managed to capitalize on that victory and build momentum from that victory. Again, the matchmaking and the marketing for Jake Paul has been very clever. It's been inspired. Let's be real. And if he gets past Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he's apparently then going to fight Gervonta Davis of all people. How bizarre is that? And in fact, what does that tell us about Gervonta Davis? Nothing that we didn't already know, obviously, but you get the point. Gervonta Davis is more interested in circus fights. Obviously, he's got the rematch with Lamont Roach coming up, and I expect him to win that rematch, by the way, legitimately. But Roach notwithstanding, Davis is more interested in circus fights than taking on the likes of Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, etc. But let me not get started on him. Jake Paul, Chavez Jr., I got the problem child winning. But what say you? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. But before I go, make sure you check out my latest content on Patreon. This week on the boxing tier, I uploaded the full Dave Allen versus Johnny Fisher rematch fight footage with my commentary over it. So you can watch the fight blow by blow with me calling the shots rather than Adam Smith. And relive the down goes Johnny moment till your heart's content. Also on the boxing tier, I uploaded the infamous Kell Brook voice note. It's some guy from Kell Brook's inner circle in a WhatsApp chat group spilling the beans about Kell Brook's alternative lifestyle, giving backstory to a car crash that Kell Brook was involved in back in the days, and the weird events that led up to it. And also, the time when he got shanked in Spain. He explains the backstory behind that. That voice note was never meant to get out. but it did. It was sent to me probably 7 years ago or so by somebody from Sheffield, and it was doing the rounds online for a while, but it's since apparently been scrubbed from everywhere on the internet except for my Patreon page on the boxing tier, the Boxing Brotherhood. And on my topical tier, this week I've uploaded part 2 of the Mechanics of Faith, where I delve into why some people follow religion and why it actually helps them, and why other people don't follow religion, and in some cases, for the best. And in part 2 specifically, I explain why so many black men in the diaspora have turned their backs on the church and turned their backs on Christianity altogether. That's this week's topical content. And of course, if you sign up to my Patreon, you get access to my entire back catalog on the tier that you select, going back many, many years, hundreds and hundreds of episodes. And of course, last week on the topical tier, the Brotherhood of Reason, I uploaded an episode which was an instant hit, decoding the new movie Sinners. It went down fantastically well. In fact, you can listen to a free 10-minute sample of that decoding. Just click the link in the description box below. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. If you want to access this video along with hundreds of hours worth of other exclusive boxing content, as well as our members chat, just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android, because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.